Judge Judy. You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheinland. The people are real. The cases are real. The rulings are final. This is Judge Judy.
Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye. All those with matters before this court today, please come forward and present your case before the Honorable Judge Judy. Our first case today is 55-year-old Tony Zubadepesci is suing his 21-year-old fiancée, Teresa Gotti, for the return of an engagement ring. He claims that the ring was a conditional gift. Ms. Gotti broke off the engagement and he wants the ring back. Ms. Gotti claims that Mr. Zubadepesci broke off the engagement and she has no obligation to return the ring to him.
Next case, Zubadepesci versus Gotti. Mr. Zubadepesci, you claim that you gave an engagement ring to the defendant, Ms. Gotti, that Ms. Gotti broke off the engagement, and now you want the ring back because things didn't work out. Is that correct?
Yo, Judge, or is it Judgette? I didn't know you were a chick. I trust that doesn't mean you're biased, like.
Mr. Zubadepesci, my question to you is why should you get the ring back?
Okay. But before we get started, Your Highness, I just happened to have found these keys to a brand new Lincoln Continental in the elevator on my way up to the courtroom. Might these be yours by any chance?
Mr. Zubadepesci, you have 5 minutes to tell me why this engagement ring should be returned to you. Let's go.
Okay. I thought I would make you an offer you couldn't refuse, if you know what I mean. Anyways, let me tell you what this is really all about. Listen, Judgette, as you might imagine, I've been around the block a few times. I've had lots and lots of broads, if you know what I mean. But I gotta tell you, when I first tasted Teresa's Sunday gravy, I was done for. It even rivaled my own Ma's. Freaking delicious. Her braciole ain't too bad either. And you know, she was cute and all, not a bad looker. So I figured I'd settle down and propose to the broad. You know what I mean? A man who doesn't spend time with his family can never be a real man. Not that I wouldn't keep a little dish on the side, of course, but I figured she'd make an honest man out of me. So, as you might expect, me having a reputation to uphold and all, I gave her quite a rock, a real big one. Like lots of carrots. This was no CZ, you know what I mean? This was the real thing. The guy I took it off, the guy I purchased it from, was a real class act.
Get on with it, Mr. Zubadepesci. You got 5 minutes or they're almost up.
It's Zubadepesci.
Whatever.
Anyway, like I was saying, I proposed to the broad, made it all romantic and whatnot. She even got down on her knees, if you know what I mean. Next thing I know, I go to pick her up for dinner one night. We had a reservation at Carmine's in Brooklyn. Oh, Marron, the best pasta fagioli in the city. And Carmine's, he makes a mean pounded veal chop parmesan too. So I pull up in my Camaro Z28. I blow the horn, but she don't come out. Like WTF. So I get out of the car, knock on her door. The lights are out, but I hear some noise inside. So I bang on the door and I tell her to open it, or I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your head off, if you know what I mean. Finally, she comes to the door and she says, Tony, I can't marry you, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, well, you need to return that ice you're wearing on your finger. And she says something about it being a gift and on, crying like a baby. I don't have time for this nonsense. I was going to Carmine's whether she came with me or not. So anyway, Your Highness, my consigliere tells me there is, what do you call it, a precedent. Gill versus Shively at 320 So 2nd 415, I don't know, 1975. You see, in the Gill case, this guy named Gill got the ring back because his woman, Shively, wouldn't marry him. If I may, let me read you what the judge said in the Gill case, and I quote, "It appears that a suit to recover an engagement ring by a disappointed donor is one of first impression in Florida. However, the decided weight of authority in other jurisdictions allows recovery by the donor if the engagement is terminated by the donee or by mutual consent of the parties. The rationale of those cases is that such presents are not absolute, but are made upon the implied condition that a marriage ensue," end quote. The judge goes on to talk about this other case from the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania. I can't pronounce the name. The justice in that case said, and I quote, "A gift given by a man to a woman on condition that she embark on the sea of matrimony with him is no different from a gift based on the condition that the donee sail on any other sea. If, after receiving the provisional gift, the donee refuses to leave the harbor, if the anchor of contractual performance sticks in the sands of irresolution and procrastination, the gift must be restored to the donor," end quote. So, Judge, I think it's pretty clear. I get the rock back.
Okay, I've heard enough from you. Miss Gotti, do you have the ring? Let me see the ring.
Yes, Your Honor.
Oh my goodness. Okay, Scotty, you broke off the engagement and now you think you get to keep that ring too?
Oh, no, Your Honor. That's all lies. What he just said. I'll tell you what really happened.
Let's go. Your 5 minutes are moving.
Well, you see, after Tony proposed and gave me the ring, I found out I was pregnant. Tony kept insisting that I was cheating on him with my ex and that the baby wasn't his. He's so jealous and wouldn't drop it. When we went to the doctor for the initial ultrasound and found out I was 8 weeks pregnant, Tony got so mad and was in a rage. He screamed, "It's over," and demanded I give him his ring back right at the doctor's office. I said, "Never." My friend Bella Bellini was there and witnessed the whole thing. She'll testify for me. And the law's on my side. I talked to a lawyer, saw one of those signs on the road as I was driving that said cheap divorces if you call this number. Thought they might be able to give me some advice. So I called the number and the lawyer told me not to worry. He says the law is that if the donor breaks off the engagement, the donee gets to keep the ring. Guess they forgot to mention that in the Gill case Mr. Legal was talking about. The lawyer says he'll take my case all the way to the Florida Supreme Court if he has to. If it wasn't for Tony, we'd be married now. So I should get to keep the ring.
Can't say I blame him for breaking off the engagement if he's not the father. Miss Gotti, you said you have a witness.
Yes, Your Honor, my friend Bella Bellini.
Miss Bellini, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes,
You look very familiar.
I've been in your courtroom before.
What's that in your cup?
It's just water.
Bailiff, will you smell that cup? Well,
Smells like wine, Your Honor.
It's juice, Your Honor.
pretty sure this is wine. It smells and looks like it. You know the saying, smells like a duck, looks like a duck, it's a duck. That's wine. You lied to me once, but I'll hear what you have to say anyway. Aren't you an attorney?
Yes,
Okay, so then you know the penalty for perjury. Can I trust that you will tell me the truth from here on?
yes, Your Honor.
What do you have to say?
I was there when Teresa found out she was pregnant. I went with her to the doctor for the initial ultrasound because she didn't know who it belonged to.
How is that relevant?
After I was with Teresa when she told Tony that she was pregnant, somehow he instantly knew that it wasn't his baby. Tony accused her of cheating and broke up with her.
So you're saying that you witnessed Tony break up with Teresa.
That's correct.
How did Tony figure out it wasn't his?
ED, and I don't mean equitable distribution.
That's enough. Get off the stand. Any other witnesses?
No, Your Honor.
Excuse me, sir. Who are you and why are you in my courtroom with a cigar? Put that out.
Hey, you talking to me? You talking to me, Luca Brasi? The cigar, it's for the upcoming good news.
This freaking guy will be sleeping with the fishes tonight, if you know what I mean.
Hush. How are you related to this case, sir?
I'm Teresa's old man, and I can tell you that sleeping with her is not like sleeping with the fishes. In fact, that bun in the oven's mine, and she's cooking it up real nice.
What do you know about the engagement ring, sir?
I knows Tony got it for her, and it's sweet. It's a real nice rock. I can tell you, Your Honor, that Tony did not pay no retail. Not a chance, my old lady giving it back, if you knows what I mean. But let me tell you something. I don't blame him for breaking it off the engagement. Not his fault. If I found out that my old lady was sleeping around on me and got someone else's bun in her oven, I'd make so much trouble for her, she wouldn't know what hit her.
You all deserve each other. Look, here's what I'm going to do. Miss Gotti, give the ring back to Mr. Zuppa de Pesce. I believe, Miss Gotti, that Mr. Zuppa de Pesce broke off this engagement when he found out he was not the father of your baby. The precedent provided by Mr. Zuppa de Pesce is not controlling here because the donee broke off the engagement in Gill, not the donor. Instead, I'm going to follow a recent case, Ace Insurance Company of the Midwest versus Ivy Gabrielle Slocum, case number in 2018 from our circuit. The court considered it to be a case of first impression in Florida and relied upon the Pennsylvania Supreme Court's decision in Lynn versus Sermon for guidance. The court adopted a strict, no-fault approach to resolve engagement ring disputes. Under the no-fault approach, it doesn't matter the motives or the reasons for the termination of the engagement, and the engagement ring must be returned simply upon the non-occurrence of the marriage. The donor is entitled to the return of the ring, even if the donor broke off the engagement. So, Mr. Zuppa de Pesce, you got your ring back. Are you happy? Be happy. It's over. You both move on. We're finished. Thank you. Goodbye.
Ms. Gotti, can you share with us what you think happened today in court?
I'm very disappointed that you took the ring away from me. He should not be rewarded for breaking off this engagement. I'm very disappointed.
And Mr. Zuppa de Pesce, can you share with us what you think happened in court today?
That broad can't be trusted. Any guy that's dating her should hide their checkbook because she's all about that. Live and learn, I guess.
This fine court has prepared materials for review. They will be distributed. If you have any questions or don't get it and need some assistance, I suggest you contact Magistrate Baker or Judge Judy. Thank you for your time. Hear ye, hear ye. All those having matters to be heard before this honorable court, please come forward and present your case. The matter will be heard by the Honorable Judy Scheidlin, also known as the $1 Million Magistrate. Katie Lee claims her ex-husband's second wife, Christy Brinkley, harasses her constantly. Christy is accusing Katie of harassing her. Play ball. Let's proceed.
Miss Lee, the respondent, Christy Brinkley, is she your husband's former wife?
Right, except I'm his former wife too.
This is your former husband, I presume, Billy Joel, the piano man?
Yes,
And you have one stepdaughter.
yes,
Your daughter
That's right.
and your daughter, Christy.
Yes, that's right.
When were you divorced?
2004.
And for how long did your daughter live with her father?
She never has.
Never?
Well, not until she was kidnapped.
My question to you is, during what times did your daughter live with her father?
She never lived with him. She went there for a Thanksgiving vacation and never came back.
What year?
That was 2008.
Mr. Joel, is that right? Your daughter has never lived with you?
That is incorrect.
It is your claim, Miss Lee, that your husband's former wife, the first Mrs. Joel, I assume the first Mrs.,
She's the second.
the second Mrs. Joel. You're the third Mrs. Joel?
Yes, third out of 4.
I see. He's got something. I'm not sure what, but he's got something. So, Miss Brinkley has been harassing you?
Right. I need to clarify what she said.
Tell her about it.
First of all, Alexa did not live with us until 2010 because she had nowhere else to go.
Is that right? Your daughter was with you and her stepmother?
No, she was working there in Allentown.
Didn't ask you for any of the reasons, Mr. Joel. Your complaint is that she harasses you.
Yes,
You want her to stop.
right.
She said she doesn't harass you, that you harass her. Do you want to know who's harassed?
Alexa?
Me.
He didn't start the fire.
So, Miss Lee, the third Mrs. Joel, you have 5 minutes to tell me how Miss Brinkley is harassing you legally.
All right. It all started in 2010 when Alexa moved into my house. She had nowhere else to go, so I let her stay with us. She found out how old I was, and it all started from that point. I've always been called mistress, lot lizard. What else?
Don't ask her.
Okay, I have emails, I have Facebook posts. She sent the same letter to me 3 times, 2 by certified mail, 1 regular mail, after she paid to get our address. This is the certified letter that she sent, and I have the email where she stated she would pay $50 to get our address again, after she contacted my ex-husband and his family members through Christmas and New Year's every year for 2 whole years.
I'm not interested in your ex-husband and his family. You're suing her.
Right, she's always trying to get our address. We didn't give it, so she bought it.
She got your address?
Right.
So let's go. What is the other harassment? Your 5 minutes are moving.
Okay, I'm trying. She says that Alexa was not allowed to talk with her, yet she had an address, she had an email address, and a phone number where she could contact her.
I haven't heard anything yet, madam, that amounts to legal harassment. Keep going.
She threatened to have my kids taken away from me.
Just a second. Just a second. Show me where she threatened to have your children taken away from you.
Okay, it's in here. You'll see several references to where she's talking to my in-laws, my ex-in-laws, and she's surprised that they allow me to keep the kids there. She's made contact with them. She keeps trying to talk to them.
So what? Who cares?
And there's no reason for her to bring me into her and Billy's business. Alexa is her kid, and I told Alexa, you should stay just the way you are.
Miss Lee, you are absolutely right. You are absolutely right, Miss Lee. There is no reason for her to get involved with you and your children and your former in-laws or anybody else. But that's not legally actionable. It's just bad behavior. I'm waiting for something legally actionable, like somebody calling you 150 times a day.
Well, while we were
Like somebody posting things about you on the internet, defamatory statements, like somebody parking themselves outside your home with a constant surveillance of your home and police reports to follow that up. So far, I see annoying. I don't see legal.
Okay, well, here's where she states about my kids. Give me time. I might not have them all, but this has been going on for years.
Miss Lee, just because you say it's been going on for years doesn't mean it's been going on for years.
Okay, well, I've highlighted the majority of the parts right here. Teach your children well for as long as you have them. It's not just some.
Just a second. Let me see these papers. Okay, reading. It says, quote, have you ever told the truth? You lie almost as well as your husband. You may be right. I may be crazy, but you come in a close second. Who wrote that?
That's her.
I did.
You should have been a songwriter. And then, quote, teach your children well for as long as you have them. Well, that's a good idea. Teach your children well for as long as you have them, because you won't have them forever. You could have gotten rid of me by having my daughter call, but that would have been too easy, unquote.
Her daughter was 18 years old and had known her mother's number for years. She didn't even live in my house. She lived with her friend where she had a restraining order put on the mother.
Did you answer these messages?
I used to. I deleted that email address so she wouldn't have it anymore.
So you answered her.
Well, sometimes, yeah. I called the police.
Keep going. Your 5 minutes are almost up.
Every time Billy would send her an email about Alexa or the child support that she got or anything at all, she would respond to me.
So what? All right, let's hear about the harassment of you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Well, she started contacting my daughter over the internet. And when I finally saw Uptown Girl 3 come popping up on a lot of messages, I finally asked my daughter, who is this Uptown Girl? And she said, well, that's Dad's new wife. And I said, no, it can't be Big Shot's new wife. What does she want? And then Alexa said, she wants me to go to the airport and she will send me a ticket and I can go to New York. And I said, oh no, you are not going to New York. I've lived there. And if you go, then you can say goodbye to Hollywood. So the lot lizard, because that's what I call her, she continued to write. And then it got to the point where Alexa got belligerent with her. So then all of a sudden, the lot lizard wasn't nice to Alexa anymore. And the lot lizard said Alexa was going to be put in a mental institution for not having a New York state of mind.
Listen to me. You complained that she's harassed you. You have 5 minutes to show me how.
I blocked her from my addresses, my emails, my direct messages, but then she slides into my new husband's DMs, that means direct messages, and she posted my social security all over the internet.
Why did you do that, Miss Lee?
Well, during those messages that you have right there, the way that she was carrying on and on about how she was going to come sit in my driveway and how she was going to contact my ex-in-laws until she could get to me. So yes, I did it just to shut her up. And guess what? It worked.
So you posted her social security number on the internet. Listen to me. It sounds like you two women deserve each other.
Your Honor, no. She just needs to leave me and my daughter alone.
Listen to me. Ladies, you have choices in your lives. What if what you want to do is make a mission out of making each other miserable because somebody has got to start the text message and somebody has got to finish it? Right now, there's absolutely no reason for you to have contact with each other at all. You have growing children. If she wants to see her father, she'll contact him. If she wants to speak to her father, she'll contact him. So these two women, Mr. Joel, have absolutely no reason to have any contact with each other, do they?
Well, don't ask me why.
Listen to me. We'll get to it. Now you have 2 minutes.
Your Honor, I have some recordings that I would like you to listen to.
I absolutely will listen to recordings if you have them. I've been listening to Mr. Joel's recordings for years, so why not hear yours too?
Well, these are just a couple of messages that came to my cell phone. The first one is from the lot lizard.
You know my name. If you ain't called me back within 5 minutes, I'm gonna go find your little girl, and by the time I'm done with her, she will need you. But she won't be leaving New York for a while because she'll be in the hospital.
That was her?
Oh yeah, that was the lot lizard.
Yes, ma'am, that was me.
Is there more to the recording?
Your Honor, I have one from the piano man himself.
Go ahead.
Christy, I think you need to return my call. I would like to think you're grown up enough to want to get some sort of help for your daughter, who you have no idea what she's become. As a matter of fact, it was she who pushed Katie, and I refused to have the cops take her. Nobody called the cops on her. She walked out in front of a cop car and almost got hit. And they were going to arrest her for the way she was yelling and carrying on, and I told them to just let her get her stuff and leave. Now, if you think you can grow up and stop acting like a supermodel, you can call me back and I'll explain to you what happened. If you want to sit there and listen to her pouty little stories, well, it's still rock and roll to me.
Nothing wrong with that message.
Oh, just wait, they get better. Here's another one from the lot lizard.
Portray yourself. Wonderful mother you portray yourself to be. You personally wouldn't give a flying fudge about what's going on in your kid's life. But since you don't, that's fine. I'll make sure she gets a flight back to LA. You can either call me back and be mature, or I'll send her back on a Greyhound bus. Your choice.
Now, who's harassing who?
Quiet.
Well, I have one more from the lot lizard.
All I'm going to say is you better make sure you got permission from her probation officer to take her out of state, because they will know that you did that tomorrow. I'm always a woman, and you can either grow up and talk to me like a woman and quit calling Billy's cell phone like some tramp in heat, or I'll file charges on you like they told me I could. And as for Alexa, you're really teaching her a lot of responsibility to have her fly back and forth like a spoiled little brat.
Madam, I haven't heard anything that's legally actionable, madam. Nothing.
No? That's showing you who is harassing who.
Listen to me. You text her, you write to her, you tweet her.
No, I haven't. No.
Listen to me. She had, evidently, Miss Brinkley, she had your daughter at some point living in her home. And there was clearly some difficulty with her in the home. I don't plan on getting into what that was because, quite frankly, I don't care. It has absolutely nothing to do with this case. All I have to tell you is that people behaving badly does not create a lawsuit. Just listen to me carefully. Right now, you have no reason to have any communication with each other. Mr. Joel, do you speak to your daughter?
Well, honestly,
I assume you haven't. That's her prerogative. You are not an innocent man. If for some reason she doesn't want to talk to you, that's it. But it has nothing to do with Miss Lee. It has nothing to do with her mother, because she is a big girl and she's moving out. I don't see any reason for you to have any further contact with each other, ladies. Why don't you both consent to an order that prohibits any contact whatsoever, either by mail, telephone, text message, Instagram, or any form of communication we know of a modern electronic age? Mr. Piano Man over here got married 4 times. You have a short attention span, Mr. Joel. In any event, what the two ladies have done is that they've made their own lives miserable, at least currently, by calling, writing, texting, and whatever. It's time to say enough is enough. Your case will be dismissed. Because you have no case, I tried to ask you a question, but you keep going back into ancient history. I ask you now, are you prepared to enter into an order that says you will have no contact with each other, either in person, by mail, by telephone, telegraph, carrier pigeon, or whatever? Are you prepared to enter such an order?
Yes.
Very good. I'll have somebody prepare it. Thank you very much. That's it.
Ms. Lee, can you share with us what you think happened in court today?
Sure. Judge Judy didn't hear a word that I said. Christy is a huge liar. I hope her face melts from all that plastic surgery.
Ms. Brinkley, what do you think happened in court today?
Well, I think this Judge Judy is a huge bully, and I hope that Billy and that lot lizard get married again so that Billy can go choke to death on her awful food.
and so it goes, and so it goes.
This fine court has prepared materials for review. They will be distributed. If you have any questions or don't get it and need some assistance, I suggest you contact Magistrate Baker or Judge Judy. Thank you for your time. Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye. All those that have matters before this court, please come present now to be heard before the Honorable Judge Judy, also known as the $1 Million Magistrate. Your Honor, we have an interesting case for you to hear today between the Rovers. You'll be pleased to know that it is one of those cases that all issues have been resolved except one dispute. And to avoid giving away any clues or taking away the bite of the ending, I'll let the parties share the story with you.
Good afternoon, everyone. We are here for the final hearing on the dissolution of marriage of Rover versus Rover. I see the parties are present, and it's my understanding that you are both representing yourselves pro se. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do the parties wish to give an opening statement?
Yes, please.
Okay. Ms. Rover, you're the petitioner in this case. You may begin, but make it quick. We only have 2 hours reserved for you today, and I see there is a witness in the waiting room.
Oh, yes, Your Honor. The only issue we need you to decide today is the custody of our 3-year-old son. The respondent and I have been married for 5 years, and we adopted our son in our 2nd year of marriage. My son is my pride and joy, and now my husband is trying to take him away from me for his own selfish purposes. I stayed home as a homemaker and took care of him day in and day out. He's my shadow. He never leaves my side, except for when Mr. Rover takes him on work trips. You see, my son, he has severe separation anxiety, and we cannot leave him alone for any period of time, or else he may hurt himself or destroy our home. My husband says bringing him on work trips helps with his own depression, but he really only brings him for our son's sake. As for parental responsibility, I would like ultimate decision-making authority over his medical and educational decisions, as I've always been the one to take my son to doctor appointments, get his teeth clean, and I'm the one that's paid for all of his obedience school. I cooked all organic meals twice a day for him, and my husband has never cooked anything a day in his life. He has no idea what our son even eats. I've researched the best foods for him to eat, and I make sure he exercises every day and that he has toys to always keep him company. My husband doesn't even let him sleep in our bed. He makes him sleep on the floor.
Your Honor, this is ridiculous. Our son was purchased from a breeder, and he's specially trained to provide me with emotional support. And who do you think paid for all that training and special food? I did. And he doesn't sleep in bed with me because I have allergies. Is that a crime?
Hold on. Your son was purchased from a breeder? I'm confused here. Is this a child or is this a dog?
He is a dog, Your Honor, and a very special breed. That cost us about $5,000. He's specially trained as an emotional support animal, and he has official papers that I've kept in my possession since the day we adopted him.
Mr. and Mrs. Rover, while a dog may be considered by many to be a member of the family, Florida law does not recognize animals in terms of time sharing. Florida considers them to be personal property. I encourage you to review Bennett versus Bennett out of the first DCA. As both of you may know, marital property that was acquired during the course of the marriage, will need to be equitably divided just as your assets and liabilities were.
But he doesn't even pick up his poop when he takes him on walks. He's so irresponsible.
Mrs. Rover, I will not tolerate your outbursts. We are not here today to decide custody of your dog, who he lives with, what he eats, where he sleeps, and who picks up his feces. We are here to determine his fair market value and equitably divide that value based on who keeps him as property. You understand? Do you have any witnesses?
Yes, I understand. I don't have any witnesses to talk about my son being property like a lamp or a car.
Mr. Rover, do you have any witnesses to call?
Yes, in fact, I would like to call Mr. Terrier.
Mr. Terrier, will you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the evidence you are about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I sure do.
Mr. Terrier, will you please tell the judge about Mr. Paws?
Oh, why, yes, of course. That Mr. Paws of yours is quite the young fellow. He is bred from the finest dogs on my ranch. That boy is the smartest dog I have ever seen. I let him go to those youngins for quite the price of $5,000.
And will you please tell the court why this dog cost us so much money?
Well, that pup specifically is specially trained to provide emotional support. Now, let me tell you, you feeling sad? Mr. Paws is there to help. You feeling anxious? Mr. Paws will help you through it. My goodness, that Mr. Paws has been through extensive extensive training and he knows exactly how to make things better when we sure do need it.
Can you tell the court how Mr. Paws was paid for?
Why, yes, I believe you purchased Mr. Paws with that money you inherited from your parents.
I don't have any more questions, Your Honor.
Mrs. Rover, do you have any questions for the witness?
I certainly do. Mr. Terrier, isn't it true that my husband and I both purchased the dog from you?
Yeah, I mean, you were both there, but Mr. Rover kept on boasting about how he received his inheritance from his parents and had all this money and blah, blah, blah. And I still gave him a discount.
But we were both there, right?
Yes, but Mr. Rover was the only one that I listed on the dog's papers.
But he's my dog, though.
Objection. Mrs. Rover is not on the stand, Your Honor.
Sustained. Any further questions, Mrs. Rover?
No, I'm done.
Mr. Rover, any more witnesses?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Rover, before I make my ruling, I have some questions for you. Was the dog purchased as a gift for your wife?
No. Purchased to assist with my depression and to provide me with emotional support on my work trips.
Was there any amount of money that Mrs. Rover spent on the dog in subsequent years?
My wife does work. I would provide her with cash for groceries, training, and vet appointments from my inheritance account.
Was any of that inheritance deposited into an account shared by you and your wife?
No, never. I've always kept my money separate.
I've heard enough. This is Mr. Rover's property. The dog was purchased and paid for with non-marital funds and inheritance for the benefit of the husband, and the husband remains the only person listed on the dog's official papers. Therefore, I have to award the dog to the husband, which is what the evidence and the testimony have shown me today.
Mrs. Rover, can you share with us what you think happened today in court?
What happened today in court is ridiculous, and he's not getting the dog. Like, he's gonna have to come find the dog if he actually wants him.
And Mr. Rover, what do you think happened today in court, sir?
Well, I'll tell you, it was nothing but sweet justice. But I'll tell you, in order to get full justice, I would have had to come after her for my allergy shots. And that I did not do.
This fine court has prepared materials for review. They will be distributed. If you have any questions or don't get it and need some assistance, I suggest you contact Magistrate Baker or Judge Judy. Thank you for your time.
And Finn.
Well, it's a dog-eat-dog. He count two. Frenchie the frog.